This conference will now be recorded.
Any members of the public participating as an observer during the meeting today may submit comments or questions at any time during the meeting via email at info@planrva.org or by using the online chat functions of the meeting platform. Those individuals who are observing by phone may be called upon to share questions or comments. This meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for members of the public to address this body. All comments and questions submitted during the meeting will be reviewed following the meeting, and to the extent practical, responses will be provided or posted on the PlanRVA website. We ask that everyone identify themselves first when speaking so that we may more accurately record activities of the meeting. All lines will be muted by the meeting administrator to minimize additional noise and feedback. Anyone may unmute their line at any time to request acknowledgement from the chair. Staff will be monitoring the chat functions throughout the meeting to assure we do not overlook anyone wishing to participate as appropriate in the discussion. Does anyone have any questions regarding the process for assuring effective facilitation of this meeting, or for how many members of the public may participate? Okay, hearing none, I will now ask our clerk to certify that we have followed the approved procedures for appropriate notice and the means by which we are convening.
Yes, we have.
Thank you. Now, if everyone would please indicate your presence by saying "here" when your name is called during the roll call. Staff members will also be asked to identify themselves, and anyone else who wishes to identify themselves following the roll call of members will be invited to do so. Ms. Fusco will call the roll now.
Thank you. Charles City County, Mr. Cota, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Russell.
Here.
Town of Ashland, Ms. Abbott, Mr. McGraw.
Here.
Goochland County, Ms. Lascolette, Chairman Spoonhour.
Here.
Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
I am here.
Thank you. Mr. Davy,
Here.
Ms. Fry, Ms. Haley, Mr. Holland,
Here.
Mr. Engel,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Winslow,
Here.
Ms. Fry, did I see you just arrived? City of Richmond. Thank you. City of Richmond, Mr. Blackwood, Mr. Giovia,
Here.
Ms. Gray, Ms. Larson, Ms. Lynch, Dr. Newbell,
Here.
Mr. Poole, Hanover County, Mr. Davis,
Here.
Ms. Lorenzon, Mr. Peterson, Ms. Pritchard, Mr. Whitaker,
Here.
Henrico County, Mr. Archer,
Here.
Mr. Brannon, Mr. Mackey, Reverend Nelson,
Here.
Ms. O'Bannon,
Here.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Thornton,
Here.
New Kent County, Mr. Lockwood, Mr. Moyer,
Here.
Ms. Page,
Here.
Powhatan County, Mr. Byerly, Mr. Hall,
Here.
Mr. Nordvig. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. At this time, we are going to talk about any additional requests for changes to the order of business. And I do have one. We did notice that while it is not necessary or mandatory that we provide a public comment, we did advertise that there would be 2 public comment periods. So I wanted to see if I could get a motion to add one that was not in the original agenda so that we could be in line with what we did publish to the public. So if I could get that motion and we could move that, it would be greatly appreciated.
Mr. Chairman, this is Pat O'Bannon. I had one other thing also I wanted to add, but I will make a motion to add an extra public comment period to the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. O'Bannon.
Supervisor Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Holland, thank you. And then I'm new at this, so be patient with me. Eric, can we take Ms. O'Bannon's and do it as a lot, or do we have to do one on each change to the agenda individually?
Well, I'm not knowing what Ms. O'Bannon would like to move. I suggest you just go ahead and take the vote on this first agenda amendment motion, and then Mrs. O'Bannon can present her motion.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that then. So we have a first and a second. May I please get a roll call vote, Ms. Wisco?
Ms. Russell? Ms. Russell? Mr. McGraw?
Yes, I apologize.
Thank you. Chairman Spoonhour?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Davy?
Aye.
Ms. Fry?
Aye.
Mr. Holland? Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Winslow?
Aye.
Mr. Giovia?
Aye.
Dr. Newbell?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Archer?
Aye.
Reverend Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. O'Bannon?
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Thornton?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Diane,
Thank
if
you.
I may, Mrs. Haley is on now, as she may not have had her name called.
Right,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. I'll make note of that.
Thanks. And it
And
looks like we have
this is-
3 callers that we might not know about.
This is Kristen Larson.
Ms. Larson, were you here during the motion to amend the agenda to add the public comment period? And if so, would you like to vote?
I was not, I joined in the middle of voting.
Okay. We'll note that you arrived after this vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that, everyone. The motion passed.
Great, thank you. Are there any other additional changes to the order of business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Pat O'Bannon.
Yes, Ms. O'Bannon.
In the past, we've always had a pledge to the flag. I was hoping we could add the pledge to the meeting.
I'm glad you said that. I was wondering about that. I was wondering if we weren't doing it because it was virtual.
Oh, there's someone who has a flag behind him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that suggestion.
I don't know who that is.
Can I get a?
That was my motion to
Okay,
add
great.
to the agenda.
Thank you, Ms. O'Bannon. Can I get a second?
I second that.
All right. Roll call vote.
I'm sorry, can I confirm who seconded that motion?
Dan McGraw, Town of Ashland.
Thank you. Ms. Russell? Mr. McGraw,
Aye.
Chairman Spoonhour,
Aye.
Mr. Carroll,
Aye.
Mr. Davy,
Aye.
Ms. Fry,
Aye.
Ms. Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Holland,
Aye.
Mr. Engel,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Winslow,
Aye.
Mr. Giovia,
Aye.
Ms. Larson,
Aye.
Dr. Newbell,
Aye.
Mrs. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker,
Aye.
Mr. Archer,
Aye.
Reverend Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. O'Bannon,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
Aye.
Mr. Thornton,
Aye.
Mr. Moyer,
Aye.
Ms. Page,
Aye.
Mr. Hall.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good morning, folks. This is Canova Peterson. I just joined, so I'll abstain on whatever you were voting for because I'm not sure what it was. But I will get with this technology one of these days.
Welcome, Mr. Peterson. Thanks so much.
And just for the record, Diane, Rhonda Russell did chat into the roll call an aye, so we can record that. And Mr. Engel has asked if there is possible to do a roll call vote through the chat to save time. And I don't know the answer to that question, so I don't know how we might want to address that question in the agenda.
I thought we had spoken about that previously, and that having somebody's voice was, we knew it was actually them speaking. So I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I just feel like that's what was discussed, that anybody could be typing something. So we wanted to hear it vocalized, but I'm open to what the folks think.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I believe that's accurate and true. We certainly want to accommodate folks if they're limited on their ability with their connection to vote. As long as they can be identified, I think that would be acceptable. Of course, the code of Virginia doesn't specify, to my knowledge, but I think what you've provided is accurate.
So just to recap, we do need to do a voice, but if you for some reason aren't able to localize your vote, and I appreciate the sentiment. I was just thinking, wow, these roll call votes do take a long time. It's just sort of where we are these days, but that, we don't want to miss anybody's vote, so you can be accepted through the chat that way. But I appreciate the sentiment. Okay. I believe the last motion passed.
Pat O'Bannon.
Yes, Ms.
We didn't vote on where to put these particular items, but obviously the pledge would be early in the meeting, and to put the just to locate the public comment period in an appropriate place. That was not part of the motion. I just realized we probably should have said it would be under 1, 2, or 3 or something. So
Yes,
if I may, why don't we take them in the order that they were made, and assume that the next order of business will be the public comment period, and then we can do the Pledge of Allegiance immediately following that, and then we can pick up with the agenda on item 4, or excuse me, item 2.
Item 3.
Right, 3.
Third time's a charm. Okay, if that's okay with everybody. Are there any other requests for changes to the order of business? All right, hearing none. So with that being said, we will move to the implemented second order of business, which is the public comment period. Speakers may address the commission for up to 3 minutes on matters that are relevant to the body. Speakers are requested to give their name, locality, in which they reside, and if appropriate, the organization they represent. Members of the public may also comment through the chat function. Is there anybody at this time that would desire to make a public comment? Hearing none. Ms. Here, are there any in the chat? Let me see, I do see some chats. I don't see any, so I will close the public comment hearing. And now we will move to the second added agenda item, which is the pledge to the flag. Ms. O'Bannon, since you have a flag there, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of
United
America.
America and
to
to
the
the
republic
For which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now we'll move to the meeting minutes for the August 13th, 2020 meeting. Mr. Nordvig.
I can go ahead and let you know that the minutes are included in the packet. I will share with you all that we have a little bit of an inside joke with Ms. Fry. She has been gracious enough since her joining the commission to do a thorough proofing, and I just want to report on Diane's behalf that we achieved a major milestone this time, and Gloria wrote back with an A+, no recommended changes or edits. So not to say that someone else can't provide them, but we were particularly pleased with our success in meeting Ms. Fry's standards this month. So they are included in your packet and are available for a motion to accept the minutes into the record.
Hey, can I get that motion?
Ms. Heater.
This is Supervisor Holland. I second that motion.
All right.
Could it be a motion instead of a second, since I can't make motions?
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
I'll make the motion, Supervisor Holland.
And I'll second it, Ms. O'Bannon.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a first and second. Roll call vote.
Ms. Russell? Mr. McGraw?
Aye.
Chairman Spoonhour?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Davey?
Aye.
Ms. Fry?
Aye.
Ms. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Winslow?
Aye.
Mr. Giovia? Ms. Larson?
Giovia was an aye.
Thank you.
Aye. I'm sorry, I had some connection issues.
Thank you. Ms. Larson? Dr. Newbell? Mr. Davis? Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Archer?
Aye.
Reverend Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. O'Bannon?
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Thornton?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Hall?
Aye.
Thank you.
Diane, I think the callers were muted, so we might want to try them again. Ms. Larson and Dr. Newbill.
Ms. Larson?
Can you hear me?
Dr. Newbell?
Aye. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, looks like those passes. We do have some sort of background interference, and maybe from one of the callers or maybe somebody in a vehicle. If you could mute your line on your end, that would be greatly appreciated. And please, again, when you go to speak, please let us know who you are. I know it's awkward, but we would appreciate it. Eric, I don't know if that's you or not. But your picture is the one on the screen, so I don't know if that's. Maybe I'm the only one that can hear it.
I hear it also.
Ms.
Yeah,
Larson,
Eric,
Ms. Larson's is not muted. I'm sorry, the other two muted. There were several muted, but she's the only one that's not muted.
Okay, it seems to have gone away, so it might have been Eric's. I don't know, but I will move on because hopefully people can hear me. So we are going to move into the chairman's report. I realize that not most of you have absolutely no idea who I am, so I thought I would just talk a little bit about myself real quick, and just kind of tell you what I'm hoping for this year. I moved to Virginia from Pennsylvania in '95, and so that's actually, as of 20 days ago, now I've lived here more than half my life, so you could do the math and know how old I am. I spent 20 years, amazing years at Capital One. Absolutely love working there, love my role. But in 2018, my wife asked me if I would help her with her business. She had an advertising agency that was growing exponentially here in Central Virginia, and I decided I would help her and join her. And after about 6 months, I worked myself out of a job, but was still doing part-time stuff. And I became a CASA volunteer in Henrico County, and while that was super fulfilling, somebody you do know, most of you will know, Manuel Alvarez approached me. He's my neighbor, and he saw some of the work I did as president of our HOA. Two projects that for years and years weren't able to get accomplished, we got pushed through. One was working with VDOT and Virginia Dominion on a lighting project, and the other one was actually getting Comcast run through our neighborhood. So he said, "Man, if you can get that done, you got to think about running for board of supervisors," which was something I had never intended on doing, but found myself running, and here I am. When Martha asked me to do this, I was excited, nervous, because this is way out of my wheelhouse, but felt like it was the right thing to do. In our first meeting after being honored to be elected chair, she asked me, "What's your goal for the year?" And of course, the first thought that came to my mind was, well, I'd like to survive it. These are unbelievable times, and we've got just a lot ahead of us. But the more I thought about it, I thought about, why did I volunteer to be on this committee anyway? And I'm not sure if people realize this was not, I did not pick the low straw in Goochland to get on this committee. I volunteered to be on it because, and it wasn't for political reasons, it was really for selfish reasons. I felt like I have no idea what I'm doing as a supervisor, and I thought the best way to help my county to be the best supervisor would be to get as much input and influence for those that do it well. And I look around, this call, we have people that have been in their roles leading their communities longer than I've lived in Virginia, and we have a lot of new folks. So for this year, selfishly, I think what I will tangibly take back from this, through the collective knowledge of working with everyone, is being a better supervisor and doing that through relationships. So expect a phone call from me, an invite for coffee and or lunch, and to get to know each other, and then just to really work together to use this collective knowledge, and then work with some of the new folks that are kind of like me, just jumped into the pool, into the deep end real quickly. But I am really looking forward to working with everybody. I believe one of the most powerful things of these regional things is the cohort group and the sense of community, and I am very much looking forward to that. So thank you for the opportunity, and I am really excited about it. So that being said, that's really all I wanted to say at this point. We will move to our Audit, Facilities, and Finance Committee to Ms. Eckhout and Mr. Holland.
Mr. Holland, would you like staff to present the financials, or do you want to do an opening? Sorry, excuse me, you're muted
Excuse
still.
me, I was just muted. Let me say, overall financials continue to be on track and doing well. I'll have staff present that. If you would, Terry, thank you for taking that away at this point. We appreciate that so very much.
Good morning. On page 10, you'll see the balance sheet presented for the month of July. Please keep in mind that we are still in the midst of completing the fiscal year 20 audit. So these figures could potentially have a small adjustment. Please note on page 11, the itemized schedule of the activity that's actually running through the fund balance for the month of July. The commission did see a loss for the month of July of approximately $9,600, but all special allocated fees were collected in full in the amount of $30,122. So the fund balance, the unadjusted fund balance at the end of July is $1,131,280. Are there any questions about the balance sheet at this time? So next we'll move on to the profit and loss statement on page 12 for the month of July. This is the first month of the fiscal year, and the budget it's one total budget for the year. And this analysis provides for a review of 1/12 of the budget. Variances that are noted are at 25%, which represents 1/4. So I reviewed the financial statements and I picked out the items that tended to exceed the 25% variance. And I found that in the income section under the federal, there was the Chesapeake Bay program that has a 39.26% variance. And this is due to the project is actually ending in December. So therefore, it's just that variance is natural because of the time that project's ending. As we scroll down to page 13, we'll see a variance of 40% in legal fees on the bottom, and you'll see the note for CVTA or Central Virginia Transportation Authority. That's a new budget line this year that represents the legal fees for CVTA. There will be a budget amendment coming in the next month or so as we, prepare the first budget for CVTA, and will be, required to amend this budget as well. The next page, 14, there's a variance for the broadband network telephone, and you'll see in the explanation column that it's due to a billing area. We did purchase a voice over IP system so that we could work more effectively remotely. And there has been, some exercises to pair up the equipment to the phones, and we're still working through adjusting those billing fees. And on page 15, the last page of the profit and loss, we'll see for the net income, we'll see a loss of $9,631. As we move on to the graph on page 16, We note that we're still on track for maintaining the $1 million fund balance target. The gray line has been added to reflect that that is the target, and the blue line over that bar represents that we are still on track. The graph below depicts our actual salaries for the month compared to budget. We did have some interns working with us, so we were slightly over budget. Those interns have now gone back to class, so we won't be over going forward. The next graph, well, that's the final graph. Are there any questions?
This is Supervisor Holland. I don't have a question. As indicated, please note the unreserved restricted balance of 1.1 million, $31,280, which means we're on track. And of course, if there are any questions on any of that, please feel free to ask.
Any questions from the committee? Ms. Eckhout, I did have just a quick question. Maybe you said this and I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how much the billing error was for the VoIP?
Terry?
I think it's roughly $5,000.
The error, or was that the total cost of
the adjustment that we're working to correct?
Oh, okay, great,
For
perfect.
the building.
5, 4, 6. Okay, great. Great. All right, folks. Any other questions from the Finance Committee? All right. Do I have a motion?
This is Supervisor Holland. I move that the report be accepted, adopted for audit.
This is Pat O'Bannon. I second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Hey, before you do that, Diane, I'm sorry. Before you do that, caller number 1 is Mr. Mackey from Henrico County. He's been on, but he hasn't heard his. I mean, we haven't called his name for the vote, so he just wanted to let us know that.
Thank you, Reverend Nelson. And I actually, procedurally, I should be asking if there are any questions or comments after the second. So any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Ms. Russell?
Aye.
Mr. McGraw?
Aye.
Chairman Spoonhour?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. Davey?
Aye.
Ms. Fry?
Aye.
Ms. Haley?
Aye.
Mr. Holland?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Winslow?
Aye.
Mr. Giovia?
Aye.
Ms. Larson? Dr.
Hang
Newbill?
on. Let me unmute them on my side. It might be, let me fix that.
Ms. Larson? Dr. Newbill?
Try now.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Newbill?
Hold on. Okay, try now.
Dr.
Aye.
Newbill? Thank you.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Davis? Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Archer?
Aye.
Mr. Mackey,
Aye.
Reverend Nelson,
Yeah, aye.
Miss O'Bannon,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
Aye.
Mr. Thornton,
Aye.
Mr. Moyer,
Aye.
Miss Page,
Aye.
Mr. Hall.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds like that motion passes. We will move on to the executive director's report. Ms. Heater.
Thank you very much. We have one item for action this morning. The request is to authorize an extension from a provision in the personnel policy that requires staff members to use vacation leave above and beyond their cap. So employees in our personnel policy may carry over from December 31 to January 1st the equivalent of double the leave that they would accrue during the course of the calendar year into the next calendar year to continue to use. Anything above that, they must use before December 31 or they forfeit it. This requested extension from December 31 to June 30th is being recommended and requested as a result of the COVID-19 and the realities of many staff members being unable to take planned trips during the spring and summer of this year. We think that it would be a goodwill gesture to our staff to be able to provide that extension through the end of the fiscal year. From a fiscal impact perspective, carrying it through the end of the fiscal year will be largely neutral for us, provided that the staff members do use that leave, and it will help them to be able to spread their time out a little bit more, since they had a period of time, presumably, that they were kind of unable to pursue their plans. We did have a handful, small number of staff members who did have some trips planned this spring that were canceled because of the travel restrictions. Many have rescheduled their time off and are either have already taken it in July or August or are planning to do so over the next couple of months. But we wanted to be able to provide this extension just to give everyone a little bit of breathing room before they were at risk of losing that time at the end of the calendar year. I can elaborate, but the requested motion would be to amend this provision for purposes of COVID-19 and extend the current fiscal year deadline from December 31 to June 30th, 2020. Presumably in future fiscal years, the deadline would go back to December 31 unless this board were to take additional action. The executive committee reviewed this request at last month's meeting and has recommended to the full commission that you approve this extension.
Canova Peterson here, so moved.
Kevin Carroll, second.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, debate? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Miss Russell,
Aye.
Mr. McGraw,
Aye.
Chairman Spoonhour,
Aye.
Mr. Carroll,
Aye.
Mr. Davy,
Aye.
Miss Fry,
Aye.
Miss Haley,
Aye.
Mr. Holland,
Aye.
Mr. Engel,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Winslow,
Aye.
Mr. Giovia,
Aye.
Miss Larson,
Aye.
Dr. Newbill,
Aye.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker,
Aye.
Mr. Archer,
Aye.
Mr. Mackey,
Aye.
Reverend Nelson,
Aye.
Miss O'Bannon,
Aye.
Mr. Schmidt,
Aye.
Mr. Thornton,
Aye.
Mr. Moyer,
Aye.
Ms. Page,
Aye.
Mr. Hall.
Aye.
Thank you.
Looks like it passes this here. I would just like to comment real quickly how much I appreciate your leadership in this. I find that a lot of times we're very reactive, and this time where we have our folks that are working in new environments to be forward thinking and thinking about their needs, I think is tremendous, and I appreciate your leadership in that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have one more topic.
Yes, this is not an action item, but if the chair is willing, I would certainly like to get a little bit of discussion or input or feedback going either in the meeting or as a follow-up. As Mr. Spoonhauer mentioned, he and I have had a couple of phone conversations since he agreed to take on the chairmanship role, and really want to identify some opportunities to take advantage of the remote setting. I can imagine each of your schedules look a little bit differently these days with the transition to a lot of these virtual meetings, and ours certainly does as well. And so we know that we had a number of folks who joined our commission for the first time in 2020, and I can appreciate that all virtual meetings starting in March has been a little bit of a strange thing, but we have hosted one commissioner orientation, and some feedback I got from, actually, excuse me, we've hosted 2 commissioner orientations this summer, and got some feedback afterwards that it might be nice to schedule these on a regular basis, and they wouldn't necessarily need to be attended by only new commissioners. Anyone serving on the commissioner who wanted to join in would be able to do so. So I will be scheduling, and you will be receiving invitations in your calendars to attend. They are 100% optional. We will be scheduling them, posting them as though they are public meetings. We will be posting them and access information to log in on our website. But commissioners will be able to tune in. It'll be a live orientation session where we talk about the commission, current projects that we're doing, and a little bit of kind of time for Q&A. So if you're interested in that, look out for the invitation. We'll be scheduling them on a quarterly basis, so you could essentially drop in anytime during the year. We also had a suggestion after that it might be nice, especially since we're trying to move these meetings along a little bit more quickly. You may have noticed, for those of you that have been around for a while, we've put a pause on having a presentation or a program during your commission meeting. That is one of the things that I think many commissioners have appreciated about our meetings, is that it was a time not only for you as elected officials and leaders around the region to get together and talk and fellowship with each other, but it's also been a time to be able to hear about interesting initiatives that are happening in the region, either in your locality or across jurisdictions. So in order to sort of balance the differing opinions about how to use time during these virtual meetings, the suggestion was made to be able to host additional live webinar style events where you could tune in again, depending on whether the subject matter is of interest to you, and there would be an opportunity for dialogue. These also would be published and would be accessible to members of the public to view, as it would be considered a public meeting, but it would be a little bit more of a casual setting for you all to hear about a project that the staff is working on and or be able to interact. We will be able to archive these so that you could tune in at a later date and just watch them on your own time, but we'll be scheduling those as well. Again, both of these things are optional, but we did want to take advantage of the suggestions that were made, and it'll help our staff members stay kind of fresh with presentation skills and be able to try our hand at some new online and virtual tools. So if there's any feedback or suggestions on that, if you have topics, we're thinking that we'll be somewhere in the area of natural hazards, resiliency, emergency preparedness in October, since it is hurricane preparedness season, and we are in emergency preparedness month. So we thought we could talk a little bit about that, and we thought we could bring in some of the jurisdiction's emergency management professionals to maybe do a little bit of Q&A with you about what it's like to prepare for hurricane season in the midst of a pandemic, and the different things that they have had to do to kind of switch gears this year from the normal. But certainly future topics, any feedback you have would be great. And then also I just wanted to be able to open the opportunity for suggestions for future meeting topics. If you like that format, if you would rather have those speakers tune in on this platform during our monthly meetings, certainly we're open to that. I know the commission, or the TPO has determined that the regular transportation forum is going to be modified this year. We're not going to have an event like we have in years past, but we will have a speaker. And so I know the TPO members have had a conversation about what that topic will be in November in lieu of a regular meeting. So, you know, what we could do to sort of feed you during this time is important. And lastly, I'll just say, we are actively exploring different formats for the virtual meeting platforms. I know just when most of you gotten used to the GoToMeeting, we are actively pursuing what it might be to host meetings on Zoom. So look for some queries from us to know what you're more comfortable with. If you have a preference of platform, we're going to try to provide some different ways that to make it a little bit easier for you all to connect virtually during this time. And as we've been exploring the platforms, it does appear that the Zoom platform has made some updates that would make it easier for members of the public to view through a separate streaming service, and we'd be able to do some transcription and closed captioning and some things like that. They have some bells and whistles that GoToMeeting does not have at this time that we think might be a nice thing to consider. So that was a lot. Certainly willing to take any suggestions now or in the future.
Board, any comments for Ms. Heater?
Well, I just have one comment. Zoom has been known to be hacked and people take over. I mean, if they have assurances that that can't happen.
Yeah, they have added some new security protocols to prevent the Zoom bombing that we heard about. That was frankly the reason we avoided Zoom at the beginning of this process. I did have the opportunity to speak with the clerk of the Virginia House of Delegates. They have started using Zoom for their session this summer, which gave me a lot of confidence in the platform that I didn't have before. So I think your concerns, Mrs. O'Bannon, are definitely real, and it's been a big reason why we have avoided it. So decision's not made yet, and I'm certainly interested in your direction on the topic. I think we've heard from the CVTA that the preference among the members there would be to do Zoom, and we know that there's a lot of overlap, so we wanted to make that known to you all here so that we could, you know, meet your expectations.
Martha, I'll second that. There are several groups that I'm a part of that use Zoom, and since the initial rollout, the security has been heightened. There are waiting rooms, their way to block people that you don't know, and so yeah, Zoom. You know, we've been using Zoom for many months and not had any issues. If you ensure that you're using your security protocols similar to other platforms.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thanks.
The only other comment, this is Pat O'Bannon again. I've used several of these different programs with different groups, and once you get above about 50 people, sometimes they become, they don't work well. So just double check that. I know we have, 31 on this call, but when you get above 50, just be sure, you know, that it'll work okay. I mean, that's the other thing. If you've got too many people, sometimes they just don't work or don't function well.
Thank you. I'll look at that too.
Mr. Chair. I just want to second what Mr. Nelson was saying from Henrico. I had the same experience with Zoom. It's gotten a lot better over the course of this year, and so would endorse that effort.
Great, thank you, Mr. Winslow.
Thanks.
Any other comments for Ms. Heater? Ms. Heater, I would just say I am very excited about you offering these opportunities. When I went through the orientation, it was incredibly helpful. And to be able to have something that isn't packed around another meeting and can be the sole focus, I think is helpful. I know we all we've switched gears very quickly in our roles, and just to have a time to do that, and then even a time that I can flexibly do that because it's recorded, I think is fantastic. And I look forward to hearing from your staff and letting them brag a little bit about all the great work they're doing. I think that's going to be enlightening for everybody. I think it's going to be great for their career growth. I see nothing but goodness from this, so thanks for that.
Thanks.
Sure. All right, we will now move to the second public comment period. Again, speakers may address the commission for up to 3 minutes on any matters relevant to the body. Speakers are requested to please state their name, their locality that they reside, and if appropriate, the organization they represent. Members of the public may also submit comments through the chat function. Is there anyone that would like to speak at this time? Okay, hearing none, any in the chat? I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, I will close the public comment hearing. Now I'll open it up for commissioner comments.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
Yes, Ms. O'Bannon, thank you.
This is in my capacity as chairman of the Airport Commission. If you haven't been to the airport lately, and that's a probability, perhaps you haven't noticed that Concourse A is just about completed. It will be a mirror of Concourse B, which if you've traveled from the airport in the last few years, you know, Concourse B is the one that's most used and had the most gates. So Concourse A will now be the size and basic shape of Concourse B, and that is just in time because JetBlue is announcing that they are providing direct nonstop service to Tampa, direct nonstop service to Las Vegas, and direct nonstop service to Los Angeles.
That's awesome.
This is the West Coast flight that people and their businesses had asked for. We give a lot of credit. We've done a lot of, I'll say, lobbying with many of the airlines, but if you notice, it's JetBlue. And this was pretty much the prediction in the airline industry that the larger airlines would not be able to follow through on some of this, but the ones that are smaller and specialized, such as JetBlue and Allegiant and some of the others, will probably be stepping up to the plate, and they have. So it is JetBlue, and it would be direct and nonstop, and your business community was really excited to have this happen. So that's an announcement that it's not, I don't think it's been made real public yet, but it is okay. I just found out it's okay for me to say that now. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Ms. O'Bannon.
Mm-hmm.
Any other commissioner comments?
Mr. Chair, Tyrone Nelson from Henrico County. I want to let you guys know, those of you who do not know, we opened up a brand new aquatic center on Tuesday. We'll cut the ribbon, grand opening on Tuesday. And one of our fellow commissioners, the Board of Supervisors, decided to name the aquatic center after him. All of his tireless service for the community that the aquatic center is in. And I think Mr. Thornton is on the call. And so the aquatic center is named the Frank J. Thornton Aquatic Center, one of the great swimming places in our region. So hopefully you guys get a chance to come out, check it out on Laburnum Avenue. And I just wanted to shout Mr. Thornton out. Proud of him and his service, and proud of the county for naming the center after him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Supervisor Jim Holland. Thank you, Reverend Nelson, for saying so. That was on my thought process to share. I want to share it here that many years ago, I talked with Supervisor Thornton about a swimming pool in his district. I recall saying that as I had one maybe 10 years ago to come to Dale. And so I so congratulate him on that distinct honor that's so due. And I commend him, Henrico County. I commend all of you who have been involved in that, the YMCA. And congratulations, Supervisor Thornton, well deserved. Congratulations, and we're clapping for you. I'm clapping in the screen for you, you can see. So congratulations, Supervisor Thornton. We're so honored And we are so pleased for you and your lovely wife, Betty, as well. Congratulations. God bless you, sir. Thank you. Well deserved. And I'm coming over to swim, by the way, too.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. This is great stuff. Keep it going. Who's next? Anyone? Well, I did want to announce, I believe Mr. Moyer's on the line. I think he had a birthday maybe this week. So please, welcome, join me in wishing Mr. Moyer a happy birthday. And also like to announce, I'm not sure if you saw the announcement, that Goochland County has hired a new administrator that will be, and he'll be starting on Monday. His name is Kenneth Young. He goes by Kenny. We are extremely excited about Mr. Young coming and leading Goochland County. He comes to us from Loudoun County and has some amazing experience, and we were very, very lucky to get him. And I'm sure you'll be interacting with him in some capacity moving forward. Any other commissioner comments?
Hey, this is Jacob Giovia. I work down at the General Assembly, and I am new. This is my second meeting, but so I'm not familiar with the conversation that happened over voice vote or voting by group. But the General Assembly has been allowed, based on the opinion that the Attorney General ruled, to do some of that. It's very litigious, but I would be happy to take a fresh look at the conversation that you all have had and see if we could maybe have a voice vote or a group vote, a vote by block to avoid individual roll calls. So I'm happy to take a fresh look at that if that's the will of anybody on the body.
That would be great. I think Eric, Gregory, and I will follow up with you, Jake. Thanks for the offer. I appreciate that.
Of course, thank you.
And please do not take that background noise wherever it's coming from as any indication or feedback regarding your suggestion. That was supposed to be.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? If not, can I get a move to adjourn?
This is Commissioner Holland, so moved.
Second from Ms. O'Bannon.
All right. We stand adjourned. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me for my first meeting. Survived it. Got a half hour early. Hopefully we'll get smoother next month.
That's great leadership, Mr. Chairman. That's great leadership. Congratulations again, Mr. Supervisor Thornton. Hey, everyone. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Have a great morning. Thank you.